The Virelians had studied thousands of species across the stars. Cold logic, sterile observation, and clinical analysis had shaped their worldview. They believed sentience could be measured, intelligence could be charted, and civilizations could be ranked by neural efficiency and harmonic social order. So when they intercepted a curious pattern of bioneural emissions from the third planet of a yellow star, Earth, they expected nothing more than another low-tier primitive species. What puzzled them, however, was the signature's source. It didn't originate from cities or organized structures, but from untamed wilderness, snow-covered forests, deep valleys, and echoing ranges. They weren't looking at machines or structures, but living organisms, biological emitters, animals. And among those, one stood out: wolves. The data pointed to complex harmonics, rhythmic howls and growls, timed intervals of vocal exchange. One transmission coincided with a failed military drone test by humans in the Arctic Circle. The drone's AI was rigged with a learning algorithm, broadcasting frequency pulses. Unbeknownst to its creators, it had captured the nearby wolves' howls and matched its pulses to the patterns. The signals, jumbled and distorted to the ionosphere, reached Virelian deep sense probes as deliberate transmissions. The Virelians, convinced they had uncovered a native intelligent species, misread the situation entirely. Their report concluded Earth's apex species was a predatory, social, quadrupedal organism exhibiting traits of structured communication, group coordination, and ritual behavior. The species, designated Lupus terran, was marked for a first contact diplomatic outreach. Their conclusion: Earth's supposed humans were either extinct or subordinate species of limited mental function, perhaps domesticated by the dominant wolves. A Virelian envoy was dispatched with a cloaked vessel and minimal crew. Earth's biological volatility demanded caution. They landed silently near a boreal region in what humans call northern Canada. The ship's presence went unnoticed. Temperature readings suggested the wolves were nearby. The environment was biting cold, yet the aliens' thermal suits shielded them as they stepped onto the frost-covered ground. Their mission: initiate peaceful contact with Earth's apex race. The first sighting came at twilight. A pack of 7 emerged from the treeline. Their movements were fluid, deliberate. Their posture adjusted with the wind. They paused to study the alien observers, sensing something unfamiliar in their woods. The Virelians remained still, activating visual dampeners. They watched. One wolf, larger than the rest, circled and then howled into the crisp night. The others joined. It wasn't random. It was sequential with pauses and repetitions. The Virelians' translators couldn't decode language, but they detected rhythm and intent. The aliens believed they were witnessing a form of council deliberation, or perhaps a ceremonial declaration of territory. One Virelian diplomat recorded the moment, their voices weaving into the air like ceremonial psalms. This is no chaos. This is ritual, unity forged in frost. The wolves did not flee, nor did they attack. They simply watched, as if weighing the presence of the intruders. Then, as one, they turned and disappeared into the forest. The Virelians interpreted this as an invitation to follow or a test of trust. They chose to remain, setting up a temporary sensor post within the area, carefully marking their perimeter with non-intrusive markers. They left a gift: raw meat, carefully sterilized at the edge of the glade. The next evening, the wolves returned. The meat was gone. The Virelians believed they had established basic communication: offering accepted, aggression withheld, a form of acknowledgement. They began cataloging wolf behaviors in greater depth: group sleeping formations, scent marking patterns, coordinated patrols. The aliens were in awe. Where other civilizations had grown through fire and metal, here was one rooted in nature, adapted to hardship, ruled not by tools but by instinct elevated to art. The diplomat continued: they have no cities, no machines, and yet they thrive. Their dominion is the land itself. They walk it with confidence. The cold bends to them, not the other way around. This is not failure of advancement. This is mastery of restraint. They began hypothesizing about wolf philosophy, speculating about the metaphysical meaning of howling under the moon, of silence during snowfall. They wondered if these creatures had developed a nonverbal form of long-range communication, perhaps even shared memories through scent or pack-linked neural exchange. Though they couldn't prove it, the idea captivated them. Then came the moment that solidified the Virelians' belief that wolves were Earth's chosen stewards. On the fifth night, the aliens witnessed a birth. One of the pack had gone into labor. The others formed a circle around her. Silent, protective, 2 pups were born. One didn't move. The pack nudged it gently, repeatedly, before finally howling together. A long, mournful sound that carried through the valley. The Virelians believed it to be a funeral dirge. The diplomat's report declared, "We have witnessed grief, culture, the rituals of death. These are no mere animals." From orbit, Virelian commanders received the reports with fascination. Preliminary consensus among scientists leaned toward a rare instance of non-technological sapience. The idea unsettled some. Others saw it as a diplomatic opportunity. If Earth's apex species were emotionally driven but socially cooperative, they could be powerful allies. The envoy was authorized to prepare a formal introduction, Virelia's equivalent of an interspecies pact offering peace and scientific exchange. Preparations began. The aliens studied known gestures of submission in Lupin body language. They mimicked postures, lowered their heads, offered more food, arranged small markers and patterns resembling the wolves' own territorial signs. They documented it all. There was excitement, purpose, reverence. To the Virelians, these creatures were not savages. They were natural sovereigns. None of the crew questioned the fundamental assumption that humans were irrelevant, that this planet belonged to the wolves, and that the ones who howled under the moon were the only voices worth listening to. The offering ritual was a success. The wolves returned, not with hostility, but with caution and curiosity. The Virelians interpreted their body language as deliberation, a sign that negotiations had begun. It was a moment of triumph. They believed they were the first outsiders to be accepted by an apex race that had no need for technology, only harmony and hierarchy. They initiated the next phase, symbolic reciprocity. A ceremonial arrangement of meat, shaped in a spiral, was laid at the foot of the snowy slope. The Virelians crouched low, mimicking what they had concluded was a submissive gesture among the pack, a flattened posture with averted gaze. They made no sound. The wolves approached slowly. The spiral remained untouched until the alpha stepped forward, sniffed, then took a single piece. The others followed, one by one, in order of pack status. The aliens were silent observers, convinced they had performed an acceptable rite. This moment was recorded and transmitted to the Virelian Council. In their analysis, Earth's alpha species operated through instinctual diplomacy, ritualized, symbolic, deeply social. Hierarchies were respected. Borders were enforced through warning, not immediate violence. Cooperation, not conquest, defined dominance. A society that mirrored Virelian ideals. The crew began enhancing their understanding. Using low-frequency harmonics, they tried to replicate wolf vocalizations. Long howls modulated through translation devices. The machines failed to replicate the depth or complexity, but the effort was not lost. One night, when the aliens howled into the sky, the wolves responded. A single, mournful cry answered from a ridge. The aliens were elated. To them, this was a diplomatic acknowledgement, a greeting. They believed they had open, true communication. Daily observations continued. The aliens documented complex behavior, cooperative hunting, food sharing, injury tending, pup discipline. The diplomats' log grew philosophical. Where many species ascend through tools and fire, the lupus terran has evolved inward. Their mastery lies not in the external world, but in their internal order. No waste, no war, no greed. This is balance we have lost. Soon after, an unexpected visitor disrupted their study. A human, a park ranger, patrolling the reserve. He had picked up irregular heat signatures and signs of movement in restricted territory. His arrival was cautious, weapon holstered, radio clipped to his chest. From the ridge, the Virelians watched. The wolves remained calm but alert. The man scanned the tree lean, paused near one of the cloaked devices, and touched his earpiece. The aliens froze. They watched him walk among the snowdrifts and examine prints. Human, booted. He looked around, puzzled, then called something in his language. "This is Harper. Possible poachers or survey drones. Getting weird readings. Requesting confirmation." The aliens misunderstood his behavior. His confident posture, lack of reaction to the wolves, and calm pacing led them to an astonishing conclusion. The humanoid was a servant, a subordinate class, perhaps a companion species, or even a bioengineered caretaker, trained by the wolves. The Virelians had seen similar constructs in other advanced civilizations. Bipedal assistants, artificially intelligent servers created by dominant organic species. Here, they theorized, was Earth's version. The man knelt near the meat site, examined the bones, and looked at the tree-lean. A wolf appeared in the distance. He didn't flinch. Instead, he nodded, whispered, "Good boy," and stood up. Then he walked away, leaving no trace. The wolves didn't follow. This display reinforced the Virelians' belief. Submissive humanoid, confident predators. The hierarchy was clear. The humans were support-class life forms, tolerated, and perhaps even semi-trained by the true rulers. The diplomat's log now took on reverent tones. They have tamed the species to manage terrain and patrol their lands. This two-legged breed shows no signs of defiance. Docile, obedient, useful. It is rare for a dominant species to uplift another to this degree. The wolves are visionaries. The team resolved to initiate formal contact. They designed a sound-based introduction, a howled phrase played through low-range sonic emitters. It mimicked the earlier call and response, intended as a respectful salutation. That night, they played it once. Then again, a third time. From the shadows, a single wolf emerged. It approached the signal source and sat, still, watching. The alien saw this as acceptance. The wolf didn't react violently. It remained present, a sentinel, an emissary. Behind it, two more figures appeared, humanoid silhouettes. They carried long objects, metallic, angular. The aliens interpreted this as a ceremonial accompaniment. Guardians, perhaps security. In truth, they were soldiers. The human military had intercepted the park rangers' alert and flagged a region. Something didn't match expected thermal patterns. Surveillance drones had picked up brief flickers of infrared disturbances. Silent, coordinated, unnatural, cloaking signatures suspected. The Army sent a reconnaissance unit with orders to observe and report. The aliens remained unaware. Their focus was entirely on the wolves. They had even stopped cloaking their forward sensors, believing the presence of humans posed no threat. Then came the moment that rattled their certainty. A wolf turned its head sharply. Its ears perked. It made no sound. The soldiers stopped advancing. One raised binoculars, studied the clearing. He tapped his comms. Visual confirmed. No animal aggression. Strange structure. Possible camo tech. Permission to proceed? The response crackled in. Caution. Record only. No engagement. The aliens saw the bipeds halt. They assumed deference. Submission. Further proof of pack control. The next morning, the aliens found human footprints around their encampment, their equipment untouched. The wolves nearby, calm, watchful. The aliens concluded the humans had permission to approach. The wolves had allowed it. The human tools were limited, reactive. No signs of resistance or territorial challenge. Another log entry read, "This species is kept in line by respect or fear. The wolves offer them guidance and limitation." What greater proof of social harmony than willing subjugation? They didn't know the humans had mapped every thermal signature in their camp. That satellite footage was being analyzed. That command-level military had just approved protocol escalation. And still, the wolves howled at night. To the Virelians, it was a song of trust. To the humans, it was instinct. And to the wolves, it was something else entirely. The Virelians were euphoric. Every pattern confirmed their theory. Wolves were Earth's apex species, and the humanoids, humans, existed in a curious subservience. Their tools were primitive, reactive, lacking true innovation. No evidence of spaceflight, no orbital structures, no planetary defense grid. A peaceful planet, well tended by instinct and ritual. They believed Earth was a living monument of balance, an evolutionary success through restraint, not conquest. The lead diplomat prepared a formal offering. Using biodegradable materials and non-invasive synthesis, they crafted a sculpture, a spiraling form symbolizing unity and mutual recognition. At its center, they embedded protein-rich offerings, meticulously shaped to resemble native prey. This was not a gift of dominance, but a token of respect. It was placed near the glade, under full moonlight. The aliens withdrew and waited. The wolves came. The alpha approached, sniffed, then calmly took one piece before walking away. The others followed, precisely. The Virelians were convinced. It had been accepted. This was an agreement, a declaration of peace between civilizations. They documented the event, transmitted it with excitement to the home world. Unbeknownst to them, those transmissions were intercepted. Human defense systems have been tracking anomalous signals for days. The presence of cloaked probes, heat irregularities, and unregistered airborne signals had raised alarms. At first, theories ranged from foreign drones to experimental recon vehicles. But the data didn't fit. Frequencies were alien, not metaphorically, literally. For the first time in centuries, Earth had credible evidence of an extraterrestrial presence on its soil. Protocols, once considered obsolete, were revived overnight. Within 48 hours, Earth's United Defense Network activated Silent Protocol Sigma, a directive reserved for pre-first contact containment. A task force was mobilized under the guise of environmental research. Silent, elite, and masked from orbital view, they deployed near the boreal zone, not to attack, not yet, to study, to confirm. The last thing Earth wanted was to reveal its hand too early. Meanwhile, the Virelians deepened their misunderstanding. They witnessed humans performing a controlled burn several kilometers away, clearing brush, managing wildlife corridors. To the aliens, this was more proof. They believed humans had been bred or conditioned to serve the wolves' environmental needs. Every action was interpreted through that lens, that of a steward species under Lupin command. The diplomat recorded. They pruned the land without seeking dominion. No cities, no greed, only function. The wolves have achieved what most empires fail to, harmony through purpose, not force. Then came the fracture. One night, the alien sensors detected an unregistered signal, brief, encrypted, directional. It originated from a human team in the forest. Seconds later, the wolves howled. Not a slow, ceremonial sound, but sharp, rapid, urgent. The Virelians were confused. This wasn't in any of the patterns they cataloged. 2 wolves broke from the trees, running at full speed. A third followed, carrying something in its jaws, a human satchel. The aliens didn't recognize the object, but its materials were synthetic, not of wolf origin. The team retrieved it after the wolves dropped it near their equipment. Inside were scraps of military-grade gear, a thermal pad, field dressing, a cracked radio casing. To the Virelians, it was obvious. The wolves had discovered human equipment and were delivering it to their allies. A warning, a diplomatic message. They completely misunderstood. In truth, the wolves had intercepted a human recon drone, mistaken for prey, and returned to their territory. The satchel had fallen during pursuit. It had no message, no intent. But to the Virelians, this was intelligence work. Evidence of cooperation between apex and subordinate. The wolves had warned them of human activity. Allies in truth. The aliens responded with reverence. They played back a slow harmonic chime, synthesized howls, meant to express thanks. The wolves did not react. They simply vanished into the trees. To the aliens, it was ceremonial withdrawal, honor fulfilled. Then came the rupture. An unmarked black aircraft hovered silently above their position 2 days later. No engine noise. No visible weapons. Virelian sensors couldn't identify its propulsion. A marvel of stealth and design. The aliens panicked. Finally, they believed they were witnessing wolf design technology. They mistook the aircraft as the first true technological sign of Earth's apex species. Of course, the diplomat wrote, technology is used only when needed. Restraint is a higher intelligence. We mistook simplicity for limitation. The aircraft deployed nothing. No weapons. No messages. It hovered for 13 seconds and vanished into cloud. Observation, not confrontation. That's what the aliens concluded. And still they didn't see the truth. A new command was issued from Earth HQ. Do not engage. Observe their behavior. Let them act. Let them think we are beneath notice. The goal was information dominance. Humanity wanted to know how the aliens thought, what they valued, what they feared. Meanwhile, the Virilians sent their final declaration, a sonic beacon embedded in organic resin, left at the center of the glade. It broadcast 3 modulated howls, each encoded with symbolic patterns meant to indicate peace, alliance, and mutual respect. It ended with a silence they believed wolves used to signify closure. That night, the wolves didn't return. Instead, the clearing was visited by a single human, a tracker. He found the beacon, knelt, examined it, and didn't touch it. He just stood up, looked around, and walked away, back into the dark. The aliens were euphoric. They believed the wolves had sent a trusted servant to acknowledge receipt. No destruction, no challenge, only understanding. They logged the final message. The Lupus Terran has accepted our presence. There is no need for conquest. We will not interfere. Their wisdom surpasses our own. Let Earth remain as it is, a sanctuary watched over by its rightful guardians. Earth's Defense Council read the transcript and chose not to respond. Let them believe. Let them watch wolves. Let them never look deeper. Weeks passed. The Virilians dismantled their encampment quietly, leaving no damage to the ecosystem. Their reports had already been broadcast home, heralding Earth as a jewel restraint, a sanctuary preserved by instinct, and ruled by its non-sentient apex species. The diplomatic mission was marked a success. No conflict, no resistance, no need for interference. But back on their homeworld, reactions were mixed. Some hailed it as proof that the galaxy could still surprise them. Others found it laughable. A spacefaring race humbled by wolves? The Council demanded a deeper analysis. Had the diplomats truly encountered a dominant species? Or were they projecting cultural biases onto animals? A second mission was authorized, not for peace, but for confirmation. A covert team of scientists, sociologists, and covert observers, stealth-equipped, biometrically shielded. Their objective, collect physical proof, DNA, cognitive data, tool use, speech modeling, everything that could validate the claim that wolves ruled Earth. They landed silently, away from the glade, in a region with broader human presence. They followed wolves from a distance, monitored them through the forest, and placed disguised observational arrays. The animals, though alert, never led them to anything resembling a civilization. No structures, no language beyond instinctive calls, no tools, no fire. Then they encountered their first human settlement. It was small, an outpost in the taiga, manned by ecologists, researchers, and rangers. But there were power sources, satellite uplinks, computing hardware, weapons, vehicles, construction. At first, the aliens were confused. Why would creatures of servitude have this much autonomy? They expected primitive dwellings, perhaps huts arranged by wolf herders. Instead, they saw humans operating independently, performing complex tasks, giving orders, without any visible lupin supervision. The deeper they looked, the more the illusion cracked. In a remote lab, they intercepted audio, human conversations discussing orbital weather patterns, planetary defense protocols, migration behavior, satellite calibration. These weren't caretakers. They were planners, strategists. Then came the final breach. One of the alien team members was captured, not by wolves, by humans. He had strayed too far from cover during a surveillance operation and triggered a hidden sensor net. Within minutes, he was immobilized, contained, and transported to an underground facility. Non-lethal methods, precise handling, and absolute coordination. The alien regained consciousness in a sealed room. Across from him sat a human, not a soldier, not a general, but a linguist. Calm, professional, unarmed. "Do you understand me?" she asked. Silence. "We know you've been watching the wolves. We watched you watching them." Still silence. "I'm going to explain this once," she said, voice flat. We never corrected your mistake because it told us everything about how your species thinks. You saw predators. You saw a hierarchy. You saw submission. You thought you understood Earth. The aliens shifted. You thought wolves ruled this world. You thought humans were their servants. But let me tell you the truth. She leaned forward. We love wolves. We admire them, but they are not our masters. We are theirs. The alien flinched. We save them from extinction. We manage their numbers. We protect their lands. We build sanctuaries, patrol legal hunting zones, and even simulate prey migrations to support their ecology. Because we can. Because we chose to. She stood and walked toward the door. You thought restraint was weakness. You thought peace meant we didn't know how to fight. You assumed harmony came from a lack of power. But harmony is a choice. She opened the door. Earth isn't ruled by wolves. It's ruled by the only species that's ever cared enough to pretend otherwise. The lights cut. The alien was returned to his team without harm. They left the planet immediately. Their final report to the Virilian High Command was redacted, censored, and sealed under Level 9 containment protocol. Internally, the truth spread like wildfire. Earth was not what they thought. The wolves were not the masters. The humans were not the subordinates. Earth was worse. Earth was patient. Back on Earth, the humans reviewed everything. Transmissions, translations, intentions. They understood the Virilians had not come to conquer. They'd come to assess. And that was worse, because it meant others would follow. The Planetary Defense Council initiated Protocol Ghostline. Orbital cloaking grids were doubled. Deep space decoys launched. Human activity was shifted away from biospheres and camouflaged behind natural disasters and climate disruptions. If the galaxy wanted to believe Earth was a quiet, wild preserve, humanity would let them, for now. But should another race come with conquest in mind, expecting docile caretakers and unarmed force, they would learn the same truth. Wolves kill only when they must. But humans? Humans build worlds where killing is an option they suppress, until they no longer need to. And when that line is crossed, there's no harmony, only fire. One final message was left drifting in the forest, encrypted in an abandoned Virilian probe. A recording, set to activate when recovered by any species who might investigate what happened. It contained one voice, clear and quiet. We don't blame you for misunderstanding. You looked at our world and saw peace. But know this, peace is not our natural state. It is our discipline. If you return with goodwill, you'll find cooperation. If you come with weapons, you'll see why no one ever returned from war with Earth. The wolves howled that night. The galaxy remained silent, and Earth kept watching.